Hey, what's going on everyone? Moose here, and today we're going to talk about spray painting your primary weapon. Now, while this isn't for everybody, and I get it, one thing holds true is that when you think about if in fact you had to be in a situation and you're in your camo, right? We all buy the camo, the multi-cam, the this and that. This thing, even though it's black and it's relatively dull, is going to stick out in the background of the woods. So, giving it a light coat of paint is not going to hurt it. Huge shout out to Coch for, I did a lot of research before I just went and decided to do this. Coch, ex-Navy SEAL, talks about how all the operators, this is absolutely what all the operators are doing. And while I could have sent it out for Cerakote and this and that, who knows what you're really going to get. I mean, I'm not looking for a shelf queen. I'm looking for something that blends into the environment the way that maybe I'm trying to blend into the environment. If in fact I'm out doing whatever I'm doing, whether that's hunting or survival or whatnot, we never know. And I'm not assuming anything, I'm just saying. So a couple of different things. Number one is you definitely want to paint for your environment. If you live in the desert, you don't want multicam, right? You want more of those flat tones, those flat darkers, things like that are going to blend into your environment. So I'm going to attempt to blend mine into the environment, and I've got some different colors here. I've got this flat dark earth color. I've got a light green here. I've got a darker green, and then I have pretty much a kind of a black. And we're going to talk about why I'm doing the black and the light. And one thing that Coch brought up in his video that made a lot of sense to me was, hey, when you look at animals in their natural environment, you actually see that they are darker on their back and they are lighter on their bellies. And if you want your weapon to blend in like an animal would, good idea, right? So we're going to go ahead and do this. I do have my Sig Romeo on here. I left my lens caps on just to kind of do protection of that. My flip up sights, I tape those, and I tape the top of my flashlight. Other than that, I'm not going to tape anything. I do have one magazine in there. I do plan on spray painting a few others that go along with it, but overall we're gonna just give this thing a super light dusting to start. We just want to get it knocked down so that the light side is the light side and the dark side is the dark side. I'm just going over all my stuff. I don't care. I want this thing to be what it is. I'm not putting it on real heavy, just kind of lightly spraying away all those, keeping my can, about 12 inches away or so roughly. Oh, just spray painting my hand. That's all right. It's all right. I'm not taping anything else off, as you guys can see. Going right over my optic. Don't care that it says Sig Sauer. Didn't tape my trigger. Don't want my trigger to stand out like a broke dick either. And we're just gonna hit this thing, get it all covered, coated. And I've never done this before, at least not on an AR. So we're gonna see what it does. But when you talk to operators and and they say, hey, this is what we do, you kind of take it to heart that this is what they do. And we're gonna follow their instructions because, well, they know more than I do. That's a fact. So we're gonna let this dry for a second. We're gonna come back with coat number 2, and I'm gonna show you the pattern I'm gonna put on it. All right, so here we are, we're back, and I've got the next light color, And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use natural foliage that you find all over northern Michigan, and that is this here. And you know what? Let me just lower this aperture just a little bit. Sorry about the first part of the video, folks, but there we go. So I'm gonna use this natural foliage, and I am going to just lightly start putting a pattern together. And we're not going for spray this stuff on to the point where it's just ridiculous, but we definitely want to get some breakup going. And you guys are gonna see it's just really ever so lightly. And that looks great already, man. It really does. I mean, you can definitely see the tonnage difference. And we're trying to avoid darkening up the bottom because, as we said before, you know, we want to keep our bottom a little bit more light than we do dark, right? So we're just kind of, just lightly, just kind of breaking up that pattern. And I'm going to put out a short that's got some really good contrast in it, and we'll show you guys how it progresses. But I think you guys are going to see here that you know, it's starting to turn those different shades, those different colors, and it's natural. It's not those real sharp edges or crazy, you know, straight lines. There's not very many straight lines in nature. Not to say that you couldn't find something that's straight, but generally speaking, there's not a lot of heavy straight lines. So we want to avoid straight lines. We want it just to kind of flow. So there we go. That's part number 2. We'll be right back after this dries for a minute, and we'll carry on. All right, guys, so as you can see, I got this thing drying. I've got the next color green going here. And this is definitely going to start creating a ton of contrast here in on this gun. But that's really what we want. So let's go ahead and hit it. Oh yeah, that's a ton of contrast. And I'm just cooking along, not really going for any kind of elaborate thing or anything like that, but definitely breaking this thing up. And I mean, this contrast now is just insane. And I'm keeping my can back a long way, right? Because I don't want to put this stuff on so thick that all of a sudden I just got this big glob of bleh, right? That is definitely what you do not want to do. Now, you guys might be wondering, why aren't you worried about the top? And that's a very valid point, but I'm going to show you guys here in a second. And actually, I think that looks really, really pretty good. I don't think I'm going to go any further than that. You know, the nice thing about doing this is we can always come back and paint it again if, in fact, we aren't happy with the pattern that we've developed, right? So I'm going to let this dry. Then we're going to come back with this really dark color, and I'm going to really add a ton of contrast to this thing. You guys are going to be like, what the frick? But I'm telling you, it's going to be amazing, and you guys are going to want to check it out. So stick around. Okay, guys. Now this is the one part that I'm a little nervous about, but either way, I think it's going to be fine. I've got the really super dark black, and what I'm going to do is on my side, I mean, I'm going to go ultra light. I am not looking to darken the rifle to a point of crazy. I just want to just hit it just a little bit so that the sides are a little bit darker, and then we're going to come back and we're going to do something that is really going to turn this thing into exactly what we're looking for, and that is that animalistic look. And that is the fact that we are going to paint our top dark, right? We want this thing dark, but we want our sides to stay relatively light. So I'm just putting that on there like that, all right? And while that might be, yeah, no, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Not as excited about it as I thought I was gonna be, but we are creating that darkness on the top. And what I may do now, just to bring back a little bit of that highlight in the backside, is grab another fern and go back and just hit some of this darker green highlight, as opposed to just having the whole thing black. So let me take care of this and we'll be right back. Okay, so I've got a little fern, I've got my green, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna come in and just kind of lighten up a little bit of that dark black. I still want it to be dark on the back, but I don't want it to be so black that it just kind of like pops out, you know what I mean? So I'm just gonna add a little bit more of the highlight from this, just to kind of lighten it up, maybe even put a little bit more right there. There we go. And yeah, we'll be right back. All right, guys, so we've got this pattern like I like it, and now I'm gonna put some clear matte on it. And this is only to help protect the paint itself, right? So it's not that it's not gonna wear off, but if in fact I can slow the process, then I'm happy with that. So I'm just gonna hit it with like 2 coats of this clear. It's a matte clear, and at least that way it'll retain a lot of its, and I'm trying to keep it light, right? I'm not trying to, once again, I'm not trying to coat this thing so thick that it's, you know, gummed up and all kinds of crazy and parts don't work and this and that and blah blah. So we're just gonna hit it like that, and then I'm gonna come back here in about 10 minutes and I'm gonna recoat it. I'm not gonna bother you guys with the recoat, but after that I'm gonna let it dry, and then we're gonna take it over and we're gonna set it in an environment and show you guys just how the difference is between this and this. All right, so there we have it. The AR with its paint job nice and broken up. You can see that all of it's nice and patterned out. Here, we'll bring it in a little bit closer. You guys can just see that kind of broken pattern in it. And it certainly blends in much better than it did. You know, still everything works. You know, just using my caps. Yep, my dot's perfectly clear. Glass is perfectly clear, and it's exactly what we wanted. I knew that it would work. One thing that I did tape off too is the little markings here that tell me which way my adjustments are, right? Because every optic can be different. So I did tape those up so I know which way's up and which way's down. Although this thing is dialed in already, you know, it's still a great way. You can see the magazine, it's empty. But everything functions just the way it should. Yep, perfect. So there you have it. If you guys want to do this yourselves, check it out. And once again, big shout out to Coch for showing me the Navy SEAL way. And it absolutely worked. You can see it's definitely lighter on the bottom than it is on the top. But there you have it. See you.